Hey, friends. Welcome back. Amanda here. And if you are listening semi live on release day, it is the 31st of January, 2023, which means it's the last day of dry January. So, no matter if you committed to a full month of abstinence or if you committed and then maybe ended up having a damp January or committed to a damp January from the onset, this is a time to evaluate what went on. And I want you to make sure that you take the time to really, really evaluate and get curious about what has occurred over this last month and where you want to go from here. So it's so important that you do this exercise so that dry January wasn't just checking the boxes. And I will be completely forthcoming that when I started dry January back in 2017, 6 years ago, sorry, that I didn't have clear intentions when I started. And probably had not the most high level intentions at that. I just wanted to change my relationship with alcohol. And I was kind of desperate at that point. And so abstaining for a month seemed like a great way to do that. And I was definitely beating myself up from having overindulged in the holiday season. I was definitely hoping for this miraculous reset. And I was being really naive about what might occur during dry January. And so having a set of questions like this, no matter why you went into the month, or maybe you went into this month really, really ready to change your relationship with alcohol once and for all. And it's important at this time that you take some moments to reflect and see what happened during the month. And that can help you have a tool and create a map for moving forward, no matter what you were hoping for as you began the month. So, the first question I would love for you to ask yourself, and you can do these inside of your mind, or you can get out a journal and write them down. I always think that's a little more powerful. But I want you to ask yourself, why did I start? Why did I decide to abstain this month? Was it for some sort of punishment that I wanted to put upon myself? Was it for some sort of self judgment that I was making? Or was it like the stick or was it the carrot? Was I beating myself up or was I enticing myself towards something better? And for many of us, it starts as a stick. It starts as we're beating ourselves up. We are punishing ourselves for not having the relationship with alcohol that we want. And quite often, sometimes it turns into, I want to go towards a better life. And that's what happened to me. And I want to honor all parts of the thought process that you have invested in over the past month and all of the reasons why you started and kept going. And I would love for you just to reflect on, was it for health reasons? Was it for trying to control my drinking? Was it for trying to change my drinking? Or was it to have a completely different life or relationship with alcohol moving forward? And I want you to get really clear and realistic about the different levels and phases you've gone through on this journey just over the past 30 days, 31 days, and really acknowledge what was it that you truly, if you can really get to the core of it, what was it that you truly desired? And I think because you are here, because you're listening to this podcast and you are hanging out in my world, the bigger reason is more likely that you had an opportunity, you see an opportunity in the future. And so if you've been able to get to that, if you've been able to transition from this is a punishment, this is the stick I'm being beaten with, to this is a carrot that's being dangled in front of me, an opportunity that I can follow and pursue, I want you to ask, what is that opportunity? What is it that I see as potential and possibility that might happen if I keep going? Or if I am able to change my relationship with alcohol in the way that I desire? What is it that I could have, be, or become? Okay. And once you're really clear on what that is, I want you to start answering these other questions. I want you to ask, what was easy during this month? What seemed like a piece of cake? What was no big deal? Or maybe what did I not have to confront that I thought I was going to have to? Was there a fear, an irrational fear that I had that did not come to fruition? What was easy? Or what did I manage to, I guess, avoid during this month that I was afraid of? And for me, that things that I thought were going to be really hard, like some of the social situations and some of the um, mostly social situations and kind of professional obligations and opportunities, I managed to do it with a lot of ease. And so I really wanted to celebrate that at the end of the month. Like, wow, I made it through all of this temptation and I just muscled through and said no and I did it. And that felt really good. And I wanted to celebrate those things. And I want you to celebrate those things, those areas where it got to be easy. And I also want to acknowledge that there were parts that were hard. There were parts that were difficult and there were parts that were challenging. And you might have fumbled, stumbled, and fell down during those challenging parts. You might have renegotiated the commitment that you made to yourself. And you also might have succeeded. You might have barreled through those challenging parts, kept your head down, and just did the dang thing. And I want to celebrate those places too. I want to celebrate where it was challenging and where you were able to stop and reflect and ask questions and look at what was hard. And also acknowledge that just because something was hard the first time you did it, the first time you confronted it, doesn't mean that it will continue to be as hard. So I really want to acknowledge in these areas where you found challenges, you found struggles, you felt weak, or maybe you succumbed to temptation, that it won't always be that difficult. The more that you practice and the more that you strengthen yourself, the easier it becomes. It's just like a workout. The more that you do push ups, the easier push ups become. Okay. So, what was challenging? And are you willing to believe that that challenge will become less and less over time if you keep this up, if you keep working at it? Okay. So here we're at. Why did you start? What was easy and how can you celebrate that? And what was challenging and how can you celebrate that as well? Now, the big question I want you to ask, because the thing that we get caught up on so often is okay, it's, especially in our friend group, it's okay, you did dry January. Let's go out and party. Let's celebrate. And to me, there's really nothing more self defeating than celebrating a month off of alcohol than drinking to celebrate a month off alcohol. So I want you to actually ask, what would it feel like to stretch? What would it feel like to set a bigger, longer, more advantageous goal? Because the reality is, it is easier to keep going than to stop and start again. And over the past month, I've seen people, send me messages or tag me in things where they've shared that they plan to drink for a special occasion or have a drink here or there, and then go another extended period. And my thought in that is, what's the point? What's the point? If you already have momentum, what's the point in drinking on your birthday or a vacation? I know that you can survive those things alcohol free and that it will feel tremendously powerful. I know that because my clients do it. I know that because I did it. My birthday is in February. So when I extended my dry January, I knew well and sure that I was going to be alcohol free on my birthday. And that had never been a reality. And I love my birthday. I love to celebrate. And so to have the commitment to do my birthday alcohol free instead of cheating and having like a special day actually felt really powerful. It felt so much more special that I chose to navigate that situation and conquer that situation alcohol free than to cheat. And nothing against you if you do, but I just want to also empower you that you could choose a different path. You could actually choose to do something different instead of do the same old birthday that you've always done before. And sure, maybe you won't get, as drunk as you have on past birthdays if that's your MO, but if you've always had a glass of wine on your birthday, why don't you decide to see what it would be like if you didn't? That sounds really empowering and cool and interesting to me. It's fun to break out of our ordinary routine. Our mind actually craves that. Our mind craves novelty. And what is more novel than actually being fully present for your birthday or for your vacation or for whatever it is, for someone's wedding that you're attending? That sounds novel. That sounds amazing and brave. And I want to challenge you to create a stretch goal. And for me, that looks like maybe 30 days additional, so a total of 60, preferably 90 days total, so an additional 60 days. And this is really important because often dry January or a sober stint or a sober challenge like this can actually give us a false sense of confidence. And it can actually do more harm than good if you don't realistically look at it with the tools that I'm offering you here. So sometimes taking a short period of abstinence, like 30 days, can reinforce the social stigma that you don't have a problem, therefore you don't need to change your relationship with alcohol. And yet, you started this journey for a reason. And so even if you don't have a problem with alcohol, that's not the prerequisite to quit drinking. And it's certainly not an invitation to keep going, even though that's what it feels like. That's what I felt like. I felt like because I didn't have a problem, that it was uh, not only an invitation, but like a challenge and an obligation to keep up my relationship with alcohol. And that's not true. And so often when we take a break from something and we're able to prove that we can do it, it reinforces this egoic led belief that we figured it out. No big deal. We can keep going. And maybe true. And that's not the most sophisticated way to look at this. And it's probably not why you started this in the first place. So I want you to realize that it can create a false sense of confidence. It can also reinforce that sobriety is hard. Maybe you are one of the people who had a lot of challenges this month and a lot of struggles. And so it felt hard. Well, guess what? Again, anything is difficult when you're first starting out. If you start doing, let's not even say push ups, because that like is one thing, a pull up. I cannot do a pull up to save my life. And so one pull up when you're just getting started is really, really hard. But the more you practice them, the more you use those muscles, the easier it becomes. Okay. And so I want you to think of this as you can do anything. You can muscle through anything for 30 days. And you can reinforce that it's hard because you're just getting started. But if you keep going, you keep practicing, and you keep trying, it will become easier. So 30 days is rarely representative of how hard or how easy it's going to be in the long run because you're getting just a microscopic view into this new lifestyle, into this new habit. And so I would implore you to try it out for a longer, more realistic period where you can actually experience real life and what it's like to do a birthday, a breakup, a fight, a concert, a whatever, a vacation, alcohol free. If you can have some real life experiences and really see how difficult or easy it is in the long run, you start to get a whole different life view. And it's just not something that you're going to get if you go right back to that way of being. Because fact of the matter is, January's the easiest month to be alcohol free because so many other people are doing it. And it's kind of this comeback period after the new year. People aren't doing a lot of things. There's typically not a lot of stuff on your schedule. And so, even though there might not ever be a convenient time to take a break from alcohol, one of the easiest times probably is dry January. So, I want to honor and suggest that you might just have a false sense of what this might be like in the whole, which is one other reason I recommend you keep going. Okay. So I would recommend, again, that you set a reasonable, achievable, yet still challenging stretch goal of, let's say, up to 90 days. And from there, we'll reevaluate. What I don't want you to do is say that you're just going to keep going without any reevaluation time, because then that is coded in your mind as I'm going to keep going forever. And when you set a forever goal, your mind freaks out and wants to find reasons why this will be hard, find reasons to rebel. And so I want you to set something that is reasonable, achievable, and concrete, yet still challenging. So don't just say, I'm just going to keep going until I want to stop. That usually isn't super successful. Say, I want to keep going 30 more days, 60 more days, 90 more days, and then we'll reevaluate from there. Okay. So if you go ahead and do this type of evaluation of your dry January, I think that you'll have a really clear picture of where you wanted to be and maybe where you upgraded that you wanted to be, what was easy, what was difficult, and how this 1 month really is not going to give you a clear view into what this is like doing this lifestyle long term. And so I really want to invite you and challenge you to keep going, even if you did damp January and you had some drinks throughout the month. I want to encourage you to keep going, or maybe to double down and try something that's a little more challenging. Try a longer period, a more strict period, whatever feels good for you. There's no right or wrong way to get at this, but I do know that it's easier to keep going than it is to stop and start again. So you already have momentum. Use that to your advantage. And if you want a little support in using that to your advantage, one of the things that I just released is a tool that I don't know why it took me so long to do this, because this is precisely the thing that would have really lit me up 6, 7 years ago when I was first sober curious. And that is a membership community. And it is a super affordable annual membership where every month you get a mastermind class with me. You also get some group coaching with me. You get access to my full online library of pre-recorded courses, mini courses, master classes, and just a ton of super valuable resources where you can learn and grow and step into your potential as an alcohol-free woman. This is right now only for women. Sorry, guys who are listening, because there is a community aspect to this. And so you also have a super high vibe, high achieving community to tap into. And these are the things that were important to me when I was going alcohol-free that I could not find. I could not find a high vibe, high achieving, forward focused, opportunity focused community that was going alcohol free. Everything kind of felt a little downtrodden, if I'm being honest. And that's not the vibe that I was going for. And I also wanted an alcohol-free community and path that focused on leveraging this decision to abstain to become the best version of me. I was so into self-help and personal growth that I didn't want to really only focus on the hard things about sobriety. Of course, I wanted tools to get through them, which you'll get in this membership. But I wanted more than that. I wanted tools to help me thrive in life as an alcohol-free woman. And that is the beauty of this membership. It's called the Unbottled Potential Membership. And I would really love if you consider joining. I will put a link in the show notes so you can find it at amandakuda.com/membership. And it's for you no matter where you're at in your alcohol-free journey. There will be resources for women who are sober curious and just starting out, and resources for women who are already alcohol-free and just want to have a community to learn, grow, and celebrate themselves as alcohol-free women. So I hope that you will check it out and consider joining. This is something, again, that I truly, truly wish I would have had something like this when I was first starting out, and now it's here. So I invite you to join me in this membership, and I invite you to keep going in dry January if you have started. I think you are on a tremendous, tremendous path forward, and that you have so much momentum to keep going. And I would love to celebrate you in doing that. So thank you so much for being here. Good on you for doing dry January or damp January or whatever you did. And we'll catch you next week. Take care, friends.